When you stop trying to blend in, you naturally stand out, and that unsettles people. Here's the truth: if you're a Sigma male, you're wired differently. You're not chasing attention, applause, or validation. You don't crave approval, and you're not here to impress anyone. You move quietly, think independently, and trust your inner compass far more than the herd mentality. And that's exactly why you attract more imitators than genuine allies. Most people don't know how to handle someone who doesn't need them. So what do? They copy you. They replicate the calm, the confidence, the silence. But what they fail to understand is, it's not a look. It's a burden. It's not a mood. It's a mindset. And living like this requires far more than what meets the eye. They think it's easy until they try it. Until they realize that being a Sigma isn't about appearing detached, it's about mastering yourself in isolation, discipline, and clarity. But here's the twist: attracting imitators doesn't mean you're alone. It means you're rare. It means your presence is powerful enough to influence people without even trying. And that's the mark of someone who's truly in tune with themselves. So if you've ever felt like people get close just to copy your energy, not connect with it, you're not crazy. You're just ahead of your time. And if these words feel like they're speaking directly to you, stay with me. Watch till the end, because what you're about to hear isn't just a message. It's a reflection of who you are, and why the world needs you exactly as you are. Let's dive in. Number 1, people want their freedom, but not the cost that comes with it. Let's talk about something most people won't admit. Freedom looks amazing until it's yours to carry. Everyone romanticizes it. I want to be my own boss. I don't need anyone. I just want to be left alone. It sounds powerful, independent, untouchable. But when it's no longer a fantasy and you're actually living it, it hits different. Because real freedom? It's not cute. It's not always peaceful. It's silent nights with no one checking in on you. It's making decisions without someone holding your hand. It's failing and not having anyone to blame but yourself. It's battling your own thoughts with no external noise to distract you. Sigma males live in that space. They've chosen freedom not because it's easy, but because it's true. They know what it costs, and they pay it daily. They don't need a crowd, a title, or a cheerleading squad. They'd rather wrestle with the weight of their own mind than be chained by someone else's expectations. But here's the thing: most people want the look of that kind of freedom, not the life that comes with it. They want the calm, the cool, the "I don't need anyone" vibe, without the lonely nights and the brutal self-honesty. So what do? They imitate it. They wear the outfit. They fake the silence. They borrow the attitude. But it doesn't last. Because when the solitude hits for real, when there's no applause, no fallback, no hand to hold, imitators fold. Sigma males don't. They bend, but they don't break. So if you've chosen the path of real freedom, don't expect a parade. Expect silence, resistance, and a whole lot of internal work. But also know this: once you make peace with that cost, no one owns you. And that is priceless. Number 2, they're proof that you can win without playing the game. This right here is what makes Sigma males a walking contradiction and a silent threat to the entire system. They're not chasing clout. They're not networking just to say they know someone. They're not flashing status symbols to feel valid, yet somehow, they still win. Not because they cheat the system, but because they refuse to even play by it. Most people have been trained since childhood to play a certain game: smile the right way, say the right things, post at the right time, hustle for attention, and constantly perform, whether it's in school, on social media, or at work. The rule is, be liked to move up. And then comes the Sigma male, someone who couldn't care less about being liked and somehow still ends up ahead. It doesn't make sense to the average mind. How can someone who avoids the spotlight, skips the social ladder, and doesn't beg for approval still earn respect, loyalty, success, even admiration? It burns people a little. Deep down, it feels unfair. But here's the twist: what people don't see is what it took to get there. Sigma males didn't just not care one day and start winning. No. They deprogrammed themselves. They tore down every false belief about validation. They walked alone when it hurt. They made peace with not being understood. That's the real work, and you can't fake that with a posture or a quote in your bio. Imitators try to copy the cool indifference without doing the emotional excavation. They want the results, not the rewiring. But real ones? They feel it. They get it. They know the weight behind the quiet. So if you're someone who's tired of the games, tired of performing, tired of chasing things that don't feed your soul, watch closely. Because Sigma males prove that you can win without being fake, loud, or desperate. You just have to be real enough to lose the crowd, and still move forward anyway. Number 3, they operate outside of the social contract. Most people don't even realize they're living by an invisible agreement, a social contract that tells them how to act, think, speak, and succeed. Fit in. Follow the steps. Don't rock the boat. Play the game, and eventually, you'll be rewarded. That's the unspoken deal society runs on. But Sigma males? They tore that contract up a long time ago. They're not playing the same game. They don't need constant validation, don't follow hierarchy for the sake of it, and they definitely don't care about looking successful if it means selling their soul in the process. That alone makes them hard to understand, and even harder to stand next to. See, real allies are built on shared rules, shared values, shared directions. But Sigma males are off-grid. They're not following the crowd, the trends, or the approval loop. So what happens? People admire them, but from a distance. Because to walk with a Sigma, you'd have to give up the system too, and most people simply can't do that. So instead, they imitate. They fake the detachment. They mimic the lone wolf energy. But deep down, they're still tied to the system they pretend to have left. They're still performing. Still waiting to be seen. That's why they don't last. Because being outside the social contract takes more than a change in behavior, it takes a full shift in mindset. Sigma males don't just act differently, they see differently. They question norms most people are too scared to even notice. They build lives that don't require permission. And that's why real allies are rare. Not because Sigma males push people away, but because few are willing to let go of the rules long enough to walk beside them. So if you feel like no one truly gets you, it might be because you've stepped out of a game they're still clinging to. And that's not loneliness. That's freedom. Number 4, they don't need a pack, and that's a problem for those who do. Here's something society rarely talks about: most people need a pack. They need a group to belong to. People to co-sign their choices. Someone to say, yeah, you're doing great. It's not always obvious, but it's everywhere: group chats, online trends, clout circles. Most folks aren't moving solo, they're just following slightly different crowds. Now enter the Sigma male, the one who actually doesn't need a pack. He doesn't need backup to make decisions. He doesn't need a group to validate his identity. He's not pretending to be self-sufficient, he is. And that rattles people more than you'd think. See, people love the idea of being a lone wolf. It sounds edgy, powerful, untouchable. But when you strip away the pack, no more people to vent to, no one clapping when you win, no emotional safety net, that's when reality kicks in. That's when the so-called lone wolves go running right back to the comfort of their crew. But Sigma males? They stay. They endure the silence. They face the loneliness. They walk through the fog with no map, no applause, and no one checking if they're okay, and they come out sharper on the other side. That's why most people don't last around Sigmas. They think they're copying the mindset, but they're just borrowing the image. And the second solitude shows up, they bail. Because the truth is, thriving without a pack takes mental strength most people haven't trained for. So when people envy your peace, your distance, your ability to move alone, remember, they're seeing the result, not the process. They don't see the internal battles, the isolation, or the resilience it took to stand without leaning on anyone. You're not cold. You're not distant. You're just self-powered. And in a world addicted to echo chambers? That's intimidating. Stay that way. Number 5, most people don't actually want depth, they want the aesthetic of it. Let's cut through the noise. Depth is uncomfortable. Everyone says they want it, but the truth is, most people just want the look of it. They want to seem deep, not be deep. There's a big difference. Sigma males don't just appear deep, they are. Their silence isn't for show, it comes from years of reflection, isolation, and painful experiences that force them to grow. Their independence isn't rebellion, it's self-responsibility. And that mystery everyone finds so attractive? It's not a game. It's the result of not being able to fully trust anyone for a long time. But society doesn't want all that realness. It wants the vibe, the mood, the aesthetic, the calm stare, the minimalism, the "I'm unbothered" attitude. People copy the surface of a Sigma male because it's trendy, but they have no idea what it actually takes to live that way. It's like wearing battle armor you didn't earn. You might look the part, but you haven't taken the hits. That's why so many people try to imitate Sigma males, and fail. Because depth costs you something. It's forged in pain, discomfort, emotional accountability, and self-discipline. And let's be honest, most people don't want to go there. They want to take a shortcut to mysterious and deep without walking through the shadows that made it real. Sigma males don't chase validation or play to the crowd. They live beneath the surface, even if that means being misunderstood. That's what separates the real from the imitators. So if you're someone who's been through hell and came back quieter, smarter, and more grounded, you're not crazy. You're just deep in a shallow world, and that makes you dangerous in the best way. Don't water yourself down. The world needs real, even if it pretends it doesn't. Number 6, their respect can't be bought, only earned. Here's where most people get it twisted. Sigma males don't care about status, followers, or how liked you are. They don't hand out respect like candy just because you seem important, speak confidently, or throw around your resume. Their respect is earned. And that messes with a lot of people. Why? Because we live in a world where respect is usually transactional. Be loud enough, rich enough, charming enough, and people will nod along, even if you're hollow inside. But Sigas? They don't play that game. You could be the most followed person in the room, and if your energy is off, they'll see through you and move on. No reaction. No flattery. Just silence. And for some, that's unbearable. See, imitators don't just want to be respected, they want to be respected immediately. They think dropping buzzwords like self-aware, acting stoic, or copying Sigma mannerisms will unlock some secret alliance. They flash a cool persona and wait for the Sigma to nod in approval. But here's the truth they don't want to hear. You can't fake your way into a Sigma's respect. You can't perform your way into their world. They value substance, not show. And if you haven't done the internal work, faced your flaws, taken your hits, sharpened your mind, they'll sense it instantly. Respect denied. And when that happens, instead of self-reflecting, many imitators double down on the mimicry. They copy harder. Get quieter. Try to out-Sigma the Sigma, still thinking it's about performance. But they're missing the whole point. Because for a Sigma, respect comes from resilience, truth, and integrity, not style, not clout, not mimicry. So if you want a Sigma male's respect, don't chase it. Earn it by becoming someone who respects yourself without needing applause. That's the only language they recognize. And the only one they'll respond to. Number 7, they don't sell their identity, so people try to steal it. Let's be real, authenticity is rare. And in today's world, that makes it a high-value currency. Sigma males carry something most people are secretly starving for, an unshakable sense of self. They're not out here performing, rebranding, or filtering their personality to fit whatever's trending. They show up the same whether someone's watching or not. And in a world where everyone's busy curating an image, that kind of raw, steady presence turns heads. But here's where it gets twisted. The world claims to respect authenticity, but it doesn't pay for it. It rewards performance. It loves confidence, but only if it's packaged and polished. And that's where the imitators slide in. They see a Sigma's quiet confidence and try to bottle it. Copy the look. Mimic the attitude. Sell the aesthetic. Turn the real into a brand. They slap alpha energy on a t-shirt. Post a moody photo caption with a deep quote they don't understand. Talk about self-mastery while still desperate for likes. They're not embodying it, they're marketing it. Why? Because Sigma males don't put themselves up for sale. They're not building a persona for followers or clout. And when you don't sell your identity, you become a target for those who want to steal it, and repackage it into something more profitable, more digestible, more fake. But here's the thing, they can't replicate what wasn't built for approval. Sigma energy isn't a product, it's a process. A painful, personal one. It comes from choosing truth over attention, solitude over conformity, and real power over popularity. So if you're walking your own path and seeing others try to imitate your presence without the pain that built it, don't be bitter. Be sharper. Stay quiet. Stay real. Because your authenticity doesn't need promotion, it exposes everything that's fake just by existing. Number 8, they don't just think differently, they value thinking differently. Here's what separates a real Sigma from the crowd. It's not that they think differently just to be edgy. It's that they value the act of thinking differently, because it gets them closer to the truth. For a Sigma male, it's never about being anti-everything or contrarian for the sake of it. It's about cutting through the noise and asking, does this actually make sense? And if it doesn't, they don't follow it. No matter how many people do. Now, here's where the imitators completely miss the point. They see the Sigma questioning everything and assume, oh, that's the move. Just disagree with the crowd. Challenge everything. Look mysterious. So what do? They start faking rebellion. Saying the opposite just to get noticed. Picking fights for clout. Calling themselves deep thinkers without ever actually thinking anything through. But Sigma males aren't addicted to being right, they're addicted to being clear. If you prove them wrong, they'll change their opinion without ego, because it was never about looking smart. It was about getting it right. That level of mental flexibility is rare. Most people will defend a bad idea just to avoid looking weak. Sigma males would rather look wrong today than stay stuck in a lie tomorrow. That's the difference. Imitators use disagreement as a costume. Sigmas use it as a tool. And that tool cuts deep, through hypocrisy, shallow beliefs, and fake confidence. It's not rebellion. It's refinement. So if you're always questioning, not for attention, but for accuracy, if you're not afraid to be corrected because you care more about truth than pride, you're not difficult. You're rare. And that mindset? It can't be faked. It has to be earned, through humility, through curiosity, through the courage to think for yourself, even if no one claps when you do. Number 9, their journey looks cool until you try walking it. From the outside, the Sigma male lifestyle looks like a dream. No drama. No boss. No fake friendships. Just silence, power, and the kind of freedom most people secretly crave. It looks cool, like something out of a movie. Calm. Unbothered. In control. But what most people don't realize is this. That freedom comes with a price. A heavy one. Behind that quiet confidence? Rejection. Not once or twice, but over and over. Being misunderstood. Being the odd one out. Being cut off because you wouldn't conform. That independence? It's not a flex, it's a survival strategy. It was built when no one showed up, so the Sigma had to figure out how to stand anyway. And the silence? It's not just peace. It's nights alone with your own thoughts, no distractions, no noise. Just you, your demons, and the truth. Most people would do anything to avoid that level of self-confrontation. But Sigma males live there. Imitators love the surface of the Sigma journey. They copy the solitude, the blank stare, the detached energy. But when that first wave of real solitude hits, when the phone stops ringing, when no one understands them, when the world doesn't care, they panic. Because they didn't come for the real thing. They came for the image. They thought Sigma life was about looking powerful, not becoming powerful through pain. That's the difference. Sigma males don't just live outside the system, they paid for that exit. With scars. With loneliness. With full emotional accountability. Nobody coddled them. Nobody saved them. They had to save themselves. So when people say they want that Sigma life, ask them this. Can you survive being alone with everything you've avoided? If not, it's just cosplay. Because the journey looks cool, but it's not for show. It's for those who have no choice but to walk it. Number 10, they don't need to be seen, which makes them magnetic. There's something strange about Sigma males. You can feel their presence even when they're not trying to be noticed. They walk into a room and don't say much, yet people watch. They don't beg for attention, and that's exactly why they get it. Why? Because nothing is more magnetic than someone who truly doesn't need your approval. Most people live on attention like it's oxygen. Likes. Compliments. Applause. They need it to feel valuable. But Sigma males? They've built their worth in silence, away from the noise. They don't post for validation. They don't talk just to be heard. They're not trying to be interesting. They are interesting because they're genuinely content with being left alone. And that's when people start watching. Imitators pick up on this. They try to copy the "I don't care" attitude. They post cryptic quotes. They sit in the corner with a smirk, hoping someone's watching. But here's the thing. They want to be seen not caring. And that's a dead giveaway. Their body language still begs for recognition. Their silence isn't peace, it's performance. Their independence is rehearsed, not lived. Sigma males, on the other hand? They're different, because they've detached from the need to be seen. They don't dress for attention. They don't speak to impress. Their focus is internal, on growth, purpose, clarity. And that quiet self-possession? It's powerful. It unsettles people who are still searching for outside approval. That's why Sigas draw eyes without trying. It's not a trick. It's not reverse psychology. It's the raw power of someone who doesn't need the world to clap for them to keep going. And in a world full of noise? That kind of silence is loud. Number 11, their lifestyle isn't flashy enough to inspire unity. Let's be real, people don't usually rally around quiet discipline. They rally around drama, trends, flashy success, or a shared enemy. That's how most people feel connected, through noise. But Sigma males? They don't operate in noise. They move in silence, do their thing, and don't broadcast every win or loss. And that kind of calm power? It doesn't pull people in. It pushes them to reflect. And most people aren't ready for that. See, Sigma males don't try to lead movements. They don't wave flags or start group chats. They lead themselves. And that's the part that messes with people, because deep down, most people want to be self-sufficient. But they also want to be seen, praised, or celebrated for it. Sigas skip all of that. They're not doing it for the claps. They're doing it because that's who they are. And here's where the imitators come in. They see the Sigma's quiet strength and think, I can pull that off too. So they copy the silence. The neutral facial expressions. The whole "I don't care" vibe. But it's hollow. Because they're hoping to be admired for pretending not to need anyone. They want the look of self-sufficiency, without the years of solitude, discipline, and internal growth that come with it. That's why Sigas rarely attract real unity. Not because they're arrogant. Not because they're too cool. But because their lifestyle isn't entertaining. It's not built to impress. It's built to endure. And let's face it, in a world addicted to attention, someone who doesn't crave it is either ignored or copied. So if you're a Sigma and you wonder why people admire from a distance but don't truly align with you, this is why. You weren't made to gather crowds. You were made to build foundations, quietly, consistently, without needing applause. That's not flashy, but it's real. And that's what lasts. Final words: the deeper your roots, the more you'll confuse those who only see the surface. Here's the truth most people won't say out loud. If you're a Sigma male, you will mostly attract imitators, not allies. Not because you're cold. Not because you're better than anyone. But because the way you live, authentically, independently, and unapologetically, intimidates people who are still performing for the world. You don't walk into rooms trying to be liked. You're not out here playing popularity games. You think deeply, move quietly, and stay true to your own code, even when it costs you. That kind of self-possession is rare. And because it's rare, people want to wear it like a jacket, hoping it'll make them look powerful too. But here's what they don't realize. Your silence wasn't built in peace. It was built in storms. Your independence didn't come from wanting to stand out. It came from having no one to depend on. Your strength? It wasn't born. It was forged. That's why they can copy the surface, but never match the core. So don't waste your energy explaining yourself to people who are only watching to imitate. You weren't made for mass approval. You were made to walk your own path, even if it's quieter, lonelier, and harder. That's what makes you Sigma. And that's what makes you powerful. But here's the good news. There are allies out there. Maybe few. Maybe far between. But they exist. People who think for themselves. Who've paid their own price. Who don't want to be you, they just want to be real with you. So stay sharp. Stay honest. And keep walking your path. Thank you for watching, Sigmas, and God bless.